here. I'm taking her home.
What? No, we have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Luna! Here we are.
Yeah.
That music is the first thing you hear when you load into Clair Obscur Expedition 33. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today it is finally time for my Clair Obscur Expedition 33 review. This game came out over a month ago on April 24th, and it is the first game from Sandfall Interactive. We'll be talking a lot about them throughout the review because there's just so much to say. I have so much to say about this game, and I'm excited to dive into the different parts of this game and give my thoughts about it. So, without further ado, let's dive into the review. So, the place that I want to start with this game, I was having a hard time figuring out where to start because there's just so many good things about this game. But I want to start with the soundtrack just to get it out of the way because it's the part of the game that I'm really the most excited to talk about, honestly, because I'm a big music person, and man, does this soundtrack hit on so many levels. I think I expected this soundtrack to be really good when we were hearing some of the music they were showing us before the game came out, but it exceeded all expectations. I think everybody could say that about the soundtrack in this game. It is fantastic. And like with all my other reviews, you will be hearing the soundtrack in the background of this video. And it makes for some pretty good background music. The music is just, it is so good. It is composed perfectly to match with this game and what it's going for. All of the dark, somber moments and all the light-hearted moments, it hits on all those levels in so many ways. I will be showing you, I'm going to pick out a couple of tracks, some pieces of a couple of tracks, just to show you the variety and just how good this soundtrack really is.
Clair obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble de
I want to give a big shout out to Lorien Testard. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is the composer for this game. I am fairly certain that this is his first ever composition for a game, and I'm pretty sure a semi-big story that was kind of going around while this game was really popping off was that they found him on SoundCloud and they just took him and let him run wild with the soundtrack, and you can really tell that him and his vision and also the team that he worked with to make all the music. They knocked it out of the park. I mean, when you're walking around and you hear the Lumiere song just playing, and once you get where the song goes and you get the melodies and stuff, you just can't help but hum along or sing along. And that goes for pretty much every song in this game. I mean, look it up on Spotify. This is one of those soundtracks where you just want to sit and kind of just listen to the entire thing without even playing the game. It's just that good. And I want to try not to mention other games in my reviews, but I said this about South of Midnight, and the take didn't really age all that well, even though I still believe South of Midnight's soundtrack is very, very good. But in that video I said that I didn't see, or I had a hard time seeing any soundtrack being better than South of Midnight's. I might have spoke too soon on that one, but we can talk about that later. I just wanted to mention that. Probably not going to say anything about any other games in my reviews, just to kind of keep that a little bit more contained to just this game. But getting sidetracked, getting back to it, the soundtrack is just fantastic. If you don't plan on playing this game, I would still go listen to it. It's classical music. It's also got some rock in there. It touches a lot of different genres, and that's what a good soundtrack should do. It fits with every single part of this game. Go listen to the soundtrack even if you don't plan on playing this game. It is fantastic. Next, I want to touch on the visuals and environments because, again, like, I'll spoil it, every other part of this game, it knocks it out of the park. The visuals are fantastic. I remember watching the developer direct back in January. We got about 10-15 minutes of the developers just talking about this game, showing this game. And I remember we had a little section with the artist behind this game and him talking about his philosophy, how he was approaching Clair Obscur, and we saw really just him talking about the gestural village and not much else from what I remember, but I think he undersold it because the amount of variety in the environments in this game, and it matches up with the visuals. It is probably, I can't say it's the best looking game I've ever played. It's definitely up there. I mean, it might be. I think of Horizon Zero Dawn, I think of Red Dead Redemption 2, just off of the top of my head. There's probably more, but this game comes close, if not tops those games for me, in terms of just, you take a second, you're running around, but then you just stop and you take a second to just look at the environments, from the waters, from just the open world, from the Spring Meadows intro section, from the gestural village. I mean, I can't think of all the environments, but every environment is unique. Every environment feels different, looks different, and it's so good. I can't put it into words, really. I'm having a hard time just how good this game looks and how fantastic the art team did. If it was just one guy, I know this is a very small team, 20-30 people I think, so whoever did the art, if it was just one person or a small team, you guys did fantastic. Want to shout that out because it helps this game stand out. Nothing looks the same. Everything has this just grand feel to it. And also, I'll throw this in there, the style of this game is also fantastic when it comes to the outfits that you can wear. We'll get more into that in the gameplay exploration section, but the style of the outfits you can find and the haircuts you can find, and also just how this game intertwines style into the gameplay. Every move is stylish, every move has fantastic animations. I could go on and on about how well the developers did the visuals and the environments and also the style. They knocked it out of the park. They did a fantastic job. and it is, just like the rest of the game, one of the best parts of the game. Now let's talk about the gameplay, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to gameplay, combat, all the systems that are in this game, and also exploration. There's a lot to talk about. And first, let's just dive in. If you do not know what kind of game you're getting into when it comes to Clair Obscur Expedition 33, it is a turn-based action RPG. Now for me, a little background, I'm not really a big turn-based person. Usually when I hear turn-based, I just I check it out a little bit, but most of the time I kind of just, put it to the side. I'm not really a turn-based guy. More recently, I've gotten into turn-based in terms of these action RPGs. I've realized I like the turn-based action RPGs. I'm not the biggest fan of the tactical turn-based RPGs. Something, or like a turn-based like XCOM, even like a Baldur's Gate. I really want to get into that game, but the combat and the gameplay, the turn-based nature of it, not really my thing. But the turn-based action RPGs, for me, are a lot of fun to dive into and experiment with, and this game is probably at the top of the class when it comes to turn-based action RPG combat. We saw how this game was going to play with all of the pre-release stuff. We saw that it was turn-based, but also had a sort of rhythm-based kind of timing mechanic with it. So when you go to attack in this game with any of your skills, or your base attack doesn't have one, but your skills all have quick time events. Now you might hear that and be like, oh, I don't know about that, but it is a major part of the combat, and it helps you keep the gameplay fresh, because each skill has its own unique quick time event that you end up mastering whenever you get these new skills. You figure out which 6 skills you want to use, and all of them have their own little quick time event, which if you nail it, increases your damage. There is a bonus to being able to nail these quick time events, and it just helps keep the gameplay smooth and interactive in a way, because every time you hit a quick time event, that's when your character is going to attack or heal, and it just helps you kind of feel like you're the one doing it. The quick time events, while in some games they might not work and some people might be like, ooh, that's kind of gross, in this game, at least for me, they are a fantastic way of keeping combat feeling great. So just like any other RPG, you will throughout the game level up and get stronger, get skill points that you can use towards skills, and each character has their own unique skill tree and abilities that they can use. There's a lot to mess around with here. There's a lot of game here. If you just want to mess around with different builds, different skill sets, you have that ability in this game to mix and match and fit your playstyle. There are a lot of characters that you can do this with and get a feel for them. They all feel unique, and you can kind of carve out your own playstyle through these characters. If you want to have 1 or 2 characters be kind of the strength build and have really good damage skills, maybe have 1 or 2 characters that are going to have very passive, healing skills, stuff like that. You can do that. You can mix and match. You can really play this game how you want to play it, with the different amounts of abilities and skills. Weapons as well. You can also find a lot of different weapons that you can level up, and when you hit a certain level, like 5, 10, or 20, you get an extra skill that weapon can now help you with. There's a lot of different weapons that you'll find throughout the game, and you can level these up throughout the game with these catalysts that you find from exploring, doing combat. You can buy them from gestrels with trading. There's a lot of different ways to do that as well. You also have, there's a lot of skills to jump into. Pictos are your main kind of passive abilities that you can rock and upgrade. So an ability might be to, a small one, when you start a battle, you get an extra action point, which is also how you use skills in this game. And it can range from that to further along in the game, you might get something where every time you parry, you get a bit of health back. The Pictos, there's a lot, and you also get Pictos from shops, from exploring, from combat. There's a lot of reward when it comes to exploring, which we'll jump into in a little bit. And these Pictos are a way to just further kind of diversify your character from the other characters, because you can't all have the same Pictos equipped and have those Pictos be leveled up. But you have Luminas, which are the same abilities, but you can equip them on all characters, but they can't be upgraded. They just have their base ability. There's a lot to dive into with this game, a lot of customization, and I can keep diving into it more and more. It sounds confusing, and honestly, before the game came out, when we saw these skill systems and these pages full of just 30, 40, 50 different skills, it gets overwhelming, but it's actually pretty easy to figure out. And once you figure it out, these systems go along with each other in such a fantastic way that it didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel like it was too much. It felt like a very unique way of building up your characters, and I thought it was really well done. So now going back to combat, when you're in combat, you have your base attacks, you have your skills that you can use, and while in combat, when you're the defending side, when you are fighting the enemies, you have a few different abilities you can do. A parry, a dodge, you can also jump, and later on you'll unlock gradient parries. And parries are kind of becoming more and more common in a lot of games as of recently. You know, you think of your Souls-likes, your Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, all those games having parries, but now we talk about, you know, your Doom games having parries, and just a lot of games nowadays have parries. And to me, it's not getting oversaturated. It's not a thing where it's just becoming redundant and over again it's just getting annoying, because the parry to me is a very satisfying move to pull off if it's done right. In the Souls games, it's always done right, because a parry is this timing move where you have to learn the enemy's moveset. You kind of have to download it into your mind, and once you have that, you're able to pull off these parries at the exact right time, and it feels great. And this game does that in such a good way. Every time an enemy attacks, you can parry it, but you can dodge it as well, and the dodge is more forgiving, and that's how this game kind of balances it out. If you want to go for the parry, it's more risky but more rewarding, because if you're able to parry every move that an enemy makes, you can do a counter. And it's cool that when a bigger enemy is attacking all of your party, all of your team, and you counter all those moves, the whole team does a counter, and that is such a cool move to pull off. But when you go to dodge, you can't pull off a counter because the timing is more forgiving. You don't get rewarded as much, but you don't take any damage. So that is the risk reward that this game offers to you when it comes to the parry and dodge. It is a very, very important mechanic in this game, just like it is in any other game, but I feel like in this game it's done so well where you have to think, okay, do I want to go into this battle and just try to parry everything, try to be more aggressive, but it also is a risk because you get hit a lot easier when you miss a parry? Or do I want to go into this battle and learn the moveset, dodge out of the way first, use that increased timing window to figure out the moveset, and then go for parries? I think the system is very well done, and especially in this game. I don't play a lot of Souls games, or really a lot of games that have a parry mechanic, but the ones I do, I feel like this game, for what I've played, does it the best, and it's the most rewarding system in terms of what you get back from it, and also those counters that you can pull off are also, again, like I said earlier, very stylish and very rewarding to pull off. So now let's talk about the open world and the exploration in this game. It is done very well, just like the rest of the game is. So when you're in a main mission level or even a side level, it's linear, but it's a bit more open. You can explore off the beaten path and find things like the chroma, which is the currency in this game that you can use to buy things at shops and also upgrade as well. You can find color of lumina, I think is what it's called. Those are your lumina points to add on to the amount of abilities that you can tack on to your character, which later on in the game you can just have a ridiculous amount of abilities. And when you use these luminas, each skill has a different point allocated to it. So a skill might be 5 points, one might be 10, one might be 3. So you can stack up on a lot of smaller skills, or you can go for some bigger skills. Again, another way that this game just kind of lets you play however you want. So when you're in levels, you have, off the beaten path, you want to go this way, but you see there's another path. You go down that way, you find a secret item. But when you get into the open world, that's where things obviously open up a lot more. And at first, you're stuck on foot when you explore the continent, which is what the open world is called in this game. But as the game progresses on, you were able to open up the continent a lot more, and also use one of the characters in this game, your companion Esquier, to traverse and get to new areas that you weren't able to get to before. It's a, kind of seen it before type thing, but it's still done in a very good way. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It opens up. That's how the game should be, where as you progress further through it, it gets bigger and the open world is more explorable. And you can find whole entire side levels that you might even think these are main levels with bosses and different enemies, and it takes a lot of time, I think, to 100% in this game and really see everything that there is to offer. And just to give you a number, 26 hours to roll credits. That wasn't me just breezing through the story. That was me, exploring a decent amount of the side content, but there was still a lot that I can come back to, and I'm excited to come back to and explore after I've rolled credits, because I really want to see most of what this game has to offer, because there is just that much. You might even find a gestural beach where there are mini games that you can kind of compete in and get rewards for. Like at the beginning of the game, I found a almost small parkour course, like an only up course that you would see, and that was very surprising to see, but also a lot of fun. I also found a secret gestural fight club, which was kind of hilarious to see, and just they really took the time to think of a lot of creative ideas and what should we put into this open world that would incentivize the player to explore, because once you find out what this game can offer you if you explore off the beaten path in the open world, you want to do it for everything. And you can also utilize the game's map, which that is one of the main complaints that I've heard in this game, is the map, and also just kind of getting lost sometimes, maybe wanting some waypoints. But for me, I never got lost. I'm not saying that just because I'm better or whatever like that. I didn't find it difficult to continue down the main path or explore in the open world. I thought the map did a good enough job of showing me where I was at and showing me where, new areas I haven't been to are. And there's also lanterns, if you're in the main levels, that show you the way without really telling you where to go. And another thing about this game that is crazy to me is that there's basically no HUD. There is no HUD. When you are walking around in a level, there's nothing on your screen except for the game. And a lot of games have these overbearing HUDs. There's so much on the screen, and sometimes that's good for a lot of information being told and shown to the player. But in this game, it again just really lets the environments sit in and I think the no HUD approach to this game is very well done. But going back to the open world, you have the map that you can use. It shows you where you haven't been. It shows you where you are, what parts of the map that you can uncover. And I think the map does a good enough job. It's not a crazy good map or anything like that, but it gets the job done. And I think, that's the main complaint I've heard. But for me, I did not have that problem. I thought that exploring was very well done in this game. The map did a good enough job. And in the levels, I was able to distinguish the main path from side paths to be able to, explore off the beaten path if I wanted to, or if I just wanted to breeze through it, I could continue down the main path. I think exploration is done very well in this game, along with the open world. I briefly just want to talk about the customization in this game. I already kind of touched on the amount of customization you have with your skills and your characters in terms of what abilities you use and how you can flesh out your playstyle, but also with going along with the exploration, you can find and buy different outfits and hairstyles to really make that character unique, and they show up in cutscenes. You can turn that off if you want to have a more serious playthrough without kind of some wacky outfits being shown in cutscenes. But the amount of outfit variety was something I did not expect, and I thought was very cool in this game, where you can have suits, but there's swimsuits you can find. There's also outfits you can find based on the location where you are. And the hairstyles I thought were a very nice touch, where you can get crazy with the hairstyles. Like, you can have, ponytails, man buns, but you can also have the gestural haircut where it's just like straight up like a gestural is. I wanted to briefly touch on this because even though it's not, a very important part to the game, to me it was another layer on top of the customization where I could make these characters, flesh out these characters how I want them to be, with skills and abilities and combat, but also with how they look and how they feel. I think customization all ties in with a bunch of different systems, and it ties into one to make exploration, finding these hairstyles and these outfits, very rewarding. I think customization is done very well in this game. One last thing I want to talk about before we dive into the story, and this kind of goes along with the story, but I want to talk about the writing in this game because, again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record. It is fantastic. I first just want to jump into how much fun it seems like the whole team had, but in particular the writing team had when writing some of the dialogue in this game. Especially when you walk around the gestural village, you can pretty much talk to or listen to every single NPC, every single gestural that is in that village, and they have some of the most hilarious conversations happening. And you take that along with the main story and how serious it is, it just shows the variety of the writing and also how flexible they can be with, writing hilarious dialogue and then writing the serious dialogue. Some of the dialogue in the gestural village and also throughout the game is just hilarious.
Atikrinda. Itakatu maru marula. Gawiru kumipom. Sekira dobonina. Gauba kakiko mao. Iradomo. Come.
Oh, vedi, sulla fosofna, vedi. Oh, bambina, seta.
Wow.
That's a lot of dead Nevrons.
Who did? We really need to cross the sea. Would you please help us?
There's a lot of you to carry. I'm strong, but I'm not that strong. I will need Flory,
Who's Flory?
one of my rocks.
Rocks.
See? Flory helps me swim. But Flory was stolen by my arch nemesis. The one whose every step shakes the foundation of the world. The one known as Francois.
Who dares enter my lair? You can't just walk into someone's home without knocking. That is incredibly rude.
Is that... Are you Francois? He's just a talking rock.
Wait, I thought Flory was the rock.
A rock? I am not a rock. Do you have rocks for eyes? You certainly have rocks for brains. I am clearly a turtle. Esquier! Stop sending hooligans over here!
Stop being a meanie. They're nice humans.
Then keep them on your side of the caves! Now get off my lawn!
So now let's talk about the story. There will be no story spoilers in this review. I just want to give you a basic plot premise and also talk about the characters and a little bit more of the writing and some other things. So the premise of this game is that you are a part of Expedition 33. Your goal is to stop the Paintress from painting death once again. Every year the Paintress paints down a number, and the people that are older than that number, they get gommaged away. They just kind of disappear when this happens, and those people are no longer alive, they are dead, and the goal of the expedition is to stop the Paintress from doing it once again. And you kind of see how in the intro a lot of people handle the way that the world works. You see a character like Sophie in the intro. You can walk up to an NPC and talk about children, and you walk up to one NPC and she says that she doesn't see why Sophie did not have any children. She wants to be able to supply the people with more life that can better support the future expeditions, is basically the reason for having children in this game for some characters. But the reason for not having children for Sophie is to not bring a child into the screwed up world that they live in. And you can see the sort of moral dilemma right there. And also you can see a dilemma with the people that choose to or choose not to go on these expeditions. You can go earlier if you want to, but some people wait until their last year before they go mods to try and fight off the Paintress. But some people choose not to go. Some people choose to live the last year of their life in Lumiere and choose to try and live that the best way possible instead of going to the continent, going and trying to fight the Paintress. And you might be able to save all of Lumiere, but the previous expeditions have shown you that the chances are not very likely. And a catchphrase in this game, or a slogan, is "Tomorrow comes." For those who come after, the expeditions leave behind what they learn on their journey for the next expedition. And that's also something you can find while exploring, is journals from previous expeditions, from people that were a part of those expeditions, and kind of see what their thoughts were and their feelings and stuff like that. I think that's very cool. And the premise of this game, just right away when we first saw it, it got you hooked. And the intro in this game, I won't spoil it or anything like that, but it is probably my favorite intro I've played since The Last of Us. Like, it's that powerful of an intro. It hits you so hard, it gets you hooked in and sets you off on this journey in the best way possible. I think comparing it to The Last of Us, if you play Last of Us, you know how good that intro is. I think this sits right up there with it for me in terms of just hooking you in right away with the plot and the premise and where you want to see it go. I think it is such a creative premise for a video game, and the way they handled it was so good. Now that we've talked about the plot and the premise, I want to dive in and talk about the characters in this game, who are written so well and also acted so well. There's a pretty star-studded cast when it comes to this game, and I was surprised to see this, I'm pretty sure, AA team. Now, I might be wrong about that. This is not a AAA team, I know that for sure. This is a smaller team. They were able to get Ben Starr and get Jennifer English and get Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox, and the whole entire cast of this game plays their characters so well. Emotion, feel, I mean, you can tell that they had a lot of fun voice acting in this game, but also they were given such fantastic material and they just ran with it and did such a great job. So you have your main cast, I'll go through the characters really quick, of Gustave, Maël, Lune, Ciel. You have Verso, Monaco, and Esquier. Those are your band of brothers really in this game, your whole party, and it differentiates throughout, which part of the game you're in, but every character feels fleshed out, every character feels important in the journey that you're going to go on. And like I said earlier, with how good they are with the humorous writing, there are so many moments in this game that hit so hard with the serious writing, and I'll show some of that off right here.
I want you to run. No, promise me. Run. Especially if we meet the man from the beach. We can't face him. You see him, you run.
Only if you do the same.
Oh, I'm running as soon as I see a strand of white hair, trust me. You won't even see me, I'm running so fast.
Oh, please, you're an old man. I can outrun you any day.
Yeah, right. Hey, out here. I'm taking her home.
What? No, we have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When? Fucking hell. Wake up, Gustave.
Lune. The others.
I know. We're the only ones left. You don't get to die.
It's just a matter of time before we're already dead. Look around, look.
This is not a foregone conclusion. When one falls, we continue.
And the way that this game approaches character building and relationships is it kind of takes the Red Dead Redemption 2 approach, and when you are exploring or at certain points throughout the game, you can set up camp or go to camp, and that's where all your characters are sitting around. You can interact with them, end up building up relationships with them. There are a lot of almost secret hidden cutscenes and conversations that you can miss if you don't really sit down in this camp and talk to these characters. You don't have to experience all this if you don't want to. It's optional, but if you want to take the time to build up the world, to build up these characters and these relationships, the camp is the way to do that. You are able to sit and talk to these characters, have conversations, learn more about them, and the camp is also one thing that is done very well in this game. When it comes to the plot, though, I think this is one of the best stories I have experienced and have seen come together the ideas and the places that this story takes you, the journey is fantastic. Like, going throughout the story, I can't believe, especially towards the ending, how they came up with these ideas, and everything makes sense. I think the story is really what ties this game together. The gameplay and the combat and the open world and customization, all of that is all tied into the story and the way that they build up this world, build up the lore. Like, I want to experience more of this world and see where they can take things. I think there are stories to be told. Not saying they have to come back and do a sequel, but what I'm saying is I think maybe even movies or TV shows. I know that's kind of a sour topic when it comes to video game adaptations. We've seen them be done very well before with, I've heard the Fallout TV show is very good, but then you might see like a Halo TV show type thing. It's risky, but I think if done the right way, this world can be explored in so many different ways and stories can be told, just like this one, where I don't understand how you can come up with the things that happen in this story. I do want to talk about spoilers. I'm not going to. All I'm going to say is that the story is one of the best stories I've ever experienced. It's one of the best written stories I've ever experienced. The characters, everyone's fleshed out. Everyone feels important. Everyone feels like they have a purpose in this story that just takes you in so many different directions and places. As a whole, this game is fantastic. The story is what caps it off and what makes it a memorable experience that has moral dilemmas, that has emotion. I mean, there were a few times where I teared up and started crying. I don't care to admit that. I was at that point. I was there. And the story along with the music, both combined, this game, this story is unforgettable. It's something you need to experience, and that's really all I can say. Just go play Expedition 33. Finally, let's give my verdict on Expedition 33. This game is running for $50 right now, full price. That is how much you can get it for. You might be able to catch it on maybe a 10% sale, but I think this is very obvious from how I've been talking about this game throughout the review. This is an easy recommend for me if you are looking for a game that is going to give you bang for your buck, going to give you one of the best experiences that you can get in gaming for not even full price. We're seeing games go up to $80. Most games are still $70. This game is $50. I cannot recommend this game enough. I cannot recommend it more. If you are looking for something to play, Expedition 33 has to be at the top of your list. For $50, you are getting one of the best experiences that you can get in gaming. And also, it is on Xbox Game Pass. That's how I played it. And it's $20 a month, and I still think it is a very good deal, even though the price has gone up multiple times. But even if Game Pass didn't exist, $50, I would be happy spending $70 on this game. But the fact that it's $50 is just crazy to me. I would 100%, 110% recommend Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Not only is this one of the best games of the year, it is one of the best games I've ever played. I have no complaints throughout. Everything to me was a 10 out of 10 experience, and it is going to be one of my favorite games of all time when it's all said and done. And I look back at what I've played, this game is going to be at or close to the top of the list. Can't say it's my favorite game of all time, but it's at the top of the list. It's close. And that is about as high as praise as I can get this game. Go play it. I 100% recommend it. The whole entire development team, Sandfall Interactive, this is their first game, which throughout the game I was just like, how is this your first game? There is so much talent on that team, and I think everyone who was involved in the making of this game deserves to be celebrated. They knocked it out of the park. They did such a fantastic job, and I'm going to keep up to date as much as possible on what their next projects, wherever they go, I'm here for it. They deserve all the success that they've gotten and all the praise. I would 100% recommend Expedition 33. So that will be it for my Clair Obscur Expedition 33 review. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about it. If you guys feel the same way I do, if you guys have some gripes or some complaints about the game, let's just talk about this game down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys watching all the way through. If you made it here, stay tuned for more things coming soon, more reviews, more my first time finishing videos, all of that stuff. Stay tuned for that, and I'll talk to you later.